want to talk about Jack Welch with you. I'm a big fan of Jack Welch. You probably know about him. Under Jack Welch's leadership, at one point, GE was the world's largest company in the world. When he took over the GE as a CEO, it was a $13 billion company, and he made it a hundreds of billions of dollar organization. As I started to read about Jack Welch, I found out Jack Welch was a chemical engineer. How can a chemical engineer run a Fortune 500 company? How did he develop his leadership skills? How did he develop his management skills? He has engineering mind, but he doesn't know about HR. He has an engineering mind, but how did he learn how to communicate? By doing the research, I figured out that Jack Welch is a lifelong learner. When he speaks with confidence, he speaks with clarity, he speaks with conviction, and he's extremely decisive. A lot of his theories, I don't agree with him. We don't have to become Jack Welch, but we can learn from him by applying the principle that worked for his company and how he made GE a #1 organization in the world. I actually had an opportunity to take a class with him. Bad news is I had to pay $10,000 for it. The reason I ended up spending so much money because I wanted to ask a question to him. Jack, how did you make GE #1 in the world? How? Of course, if you read his book, Winning, if you spend $20 and borrow his brain, you can find the topics there. So I asked him during the conversation, he talked about a lot of the things that made his company successful. But he said one of the key reasons, maybe the #1 reason why his company became successful, because they were able to build a learning organization. What Jack Welch said, an organization's ability to learn and translate that learning into action is his biggest competitive advantage. But what is learning? Learning is about a process that is used to enhance capacity. Learning is about evaluation, how you grow as a person. But the point I'm trying to make over here, GE built a learning organization. So I know that most of the audience here, you have your own organization. You're probably running your own family. You're running yourself like a business. You have to think about how can you build a learning organization? How can you apply learning within your team? How can you apply learning within your personal life to go all the way in the top? We need to continuously learn. There's a lot of things happening, and I don't have to tell you this. You see the way what's happening with the technology. You're seeing all the topics that we are covering. Things that you knew 3 years ago is completely obsolete now. You have to unlearn the things you have already learned. You know what's happening, the impact of the globalization. There's so much competition. Whether your personal job or company, there's so much competition out there. You see how the technology is changing, how people are getting connected. East is merging with the West. So once we understand the impact of all the changes happening in the world from the globalization, I can almost guarantee that you're working in an organization right now. In the last 3 years, you went through some strategy changes, it's went through some business model changes. So it's went through some technology changes. So if technology changes happen, you have to train your people how to deal with these changes. If business model changes, you have to train your people, coach your people, teach them how to adapt to this new business model, how to implement the right strategy based on the current business model. Build a learning organization. Understand how important it is for us to build a learning organization. Now I'm going to provide you a framework how. I listened to Malcolm Gladwell. I don't know if you've heard of him. He wrote a book called Tipping Point Outlier. And he was mentioning that most people are knowledge rich, theory poor. So what I decided that I'm going to provide you a theory, a framework on how to build a learning organization, and you can apply, you'll be able to apply that framework, again, within your team, within your company, within your family, within your personal life. So there's 4-step framework I'm going to go through with you. 4-step process that you can apply. Number one, in order to build a learning organization, you need to build a learning culture. What I mean by that, the building a learning culture needs to start with the belief on the top. So if you're leading a team, if you're managing a group of people, if your CEO, if your CLO, if your CIO don't believe on it, you will not be able to implement a learning culture within the organization. And it's so important for us to implement a learning culture. One thing I found out by reading a book written by Daniel Pink, 3 things motivate employees and motivate people. Purpose, autonomy, mastery. Purpose, what you're passionate about, what's bigger than what you're doing. Autonomy, people want to do things their own way. And most importantly, when people learn something, they understand it deeply, they become so excited, they're so motivated. So if you want to build a workforce where people are extremely motivated, if you teach them concepts, if you continuously train them, if you continuously coach them, you're going to see that the productivity of your employees is going to go up. Step 2 is build a learning plan. I want to share my personal story. You heard the commercial that when I came to this country 21 years ago, I started a company by borrowing $500 from the credit card. And when I started the company, I was young, I was stupid, but I was ambitious and curious. Knowing what I know now, if I have to go back all over again, I probably wouldn't start my company. What was happening during the time, I read an article somewhere and I found out that 80% of the startups and small businesses fail on first 3 to 5 years. Only 20% makes it. Once I saw the statistics, I got so scared, but on the same time, I got curious that I want to find out how can I develop my business skills in order to reduce the chance of crashing the company. I wanted to find out what are the skills that I need to develop. So my learning goal was, I want to be master of running business. So then I went back, I looked at, okay, what are the different skills do I need to develop in order to run my company? I need to learn about sales. I need to learn about marketing. I need to learn about leadership. I need to learn about management. I need to develop my communication skills. I need to develop my writing skills. I need to develop my finance skills, accounting skills. So what I was thinking is that I need to have a competency model so that I can reach my learning goals, which is to become a business expert. Then I went back and I said, okay, so I know what skills I need to develop. How can I develop those skills? I went back, started to taking courses, continuing education courses into different colleges. I went and attended seminar, workshops like this. I went to Dale Carnegie classes. I went to classes with HSM, World Business Forum, a lot of different classes I was taking. I also surrounded myself with a lot of mentors. And this is one of the tricks I'll give you. That when you're looking for a mentor, always try to go for the God. Don't go for the angel. You just have to go and ask. The people who, if you're in the IT and if you're a CIO and a CIO from another company you admire, go and ask the person, can you be my mentor? If you met some great people over here and you're really fascinated by their story, go and ask the person, can you be my mentor? So I surrounded myself with a lot of mentors. I still have mentors. Some are paid, some are non-paid mentors. And most important, what I figured out that after a certain age, you need to do self-study. There is no way around. You're going to take classes, you're going to have mentors, but you need to do self-study. And the way you do the self-study, based on your competency model. Not to brag about it, I'll tell you over the years, it's a fact that I have read, as of now, probably 1,400 business-related books. One of the quotes that I love by Socrates, he said that all I know is that I know nothing. And that same thing, that if you have that attitude, you're going to see, you're going to continuously learning. And then you have to go back and evaluate your learning method to see if it's working for you or not. I was listening to an interview by Bill Gates, and I'll bring it because I'm in Microsoft. He still watches lectures from Harvard, different Ivy League schools. He's reading books about cholera, malaria, whooping cough, diarrhea, all these different types of disease. I don't understand why world richest man with all those money, with no financial problem, is still reading books. Because he's passionate about learning. The reason I shared this story with you, that you can go and apply the same model to develop your learning plan. What's my learning goal? What are the competency models that I need to develop? How can I have different type of learning method to develop that competency model and then constantly evaluate that? So I'll just skim through. Now, step 3 that you can take on organization, even your personal life, you need to come up with the learning management. You need to learn how to do knowledge management. You need to do how to do information management. Organization use something called LMS, Learning Management System. You can even use SharePoint to do your knowledge management. And step 4, apply what you have learned. Knowledge is not power. Most people think knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Everything you're learning today over here, I'm sure you picked up something from Richard. Your goal is that how do I take some of those concepts and go back and apply it on my personal life? How do I take some of the knowledge Richard gave and take it to the next level? Some of your goal probably to implement this technology within your organization. Some of you might have a goal of becoming certified on the SharePoint or Windows 2012. Some of you might have a plan to encourage your employees to learn about those technologies so that they can become productive. Whatever the goal is, make sure you take the lessons that you have here, you apply it on your personal life and business life. So I want to summarize the framework that if you want to build a learning organization, the 4-step process, step 1 is learning culture, build a learning culture. Step 2 is develop a learning plan. Step 3 is learning management. And step 4, apply what you have learned. The B.B. King once says that the beautiful thing about learning is that nobody can take it away from you. I feel music into that statement. The beautiful thing about learning is that nobody can take it away from you. I want to share this story, and I shared this story many, many times with many people. I had a conversation with my dad a few years ago. And during the conversation, my dad was saying that, Russell, when you were 5 years old, did you know that you knew the name of all countries in the world and the capital city? I was like, Dad, I don't know that I knew that. I don't even remembering the capital city of different countries. So the point of this story is that the human brain is a bucket with holes in it. We are constantly losing information. And sometimes information that we have learned is no longer relevant. Things our friends or the teacher taught us, maybe as we grow older, we develop wisdom, they're no longer true. So we need to consistently learn. So the way I will end the message, if you want to grow, if you want to become successful, if you want to be on top of your game, if you want to become wealthy, if you want to become healthy, if you want to become #1 in the world on any field, anything that you want to do, if you want to achieve that, you need to become a lifelong learner. The moment we think we know it all, we stop growing. Develop the passion for learning, be a lifelong learner. Thank you.